Hi everyone! Today we will be working on a Scratch project called Snake Game. I'm sure you guys have possibly heard of Snake Game. If you have not, I will show you guys my project that I have worked on, and we will make our own together. So let's go to that. I'm going to go to my projects, and here we'll do See Inside. So here, once we click See Inside, we'll try to play my game. I'll make it bigger screen for you guys and move this up. So here we are going to play the game that I've created. Snake Game. In this type of game, you will be controlling this little snake guy, which I've made green, and he's going to try to eat food and not touch the edges. Every time he eats a new little food pellet, he will get bigger and gain speed. And so the only way you can lose is by touching the side, and then it'll give you a score at the end. So we are going to make our own today. So I'm going to press stop. Go back to the project create page or the main Scratch page. So we'll click up in the top blue bar over to the left by the Scratch logo, create. So I have actually switched to another browser just because mine was going a little bit slow, but I'm going to put that up there. What you should see is a screen like this. You can exit out of these tutorials. I'm going to give you your own to make your own game. And then in this bottom right corner of your screen, over here, you're going to see sprite 1 or a cat. You're going to want to delete that cat. And if you're new to code, or if you're new to Scratch, if you're new to Scratch or coding, you are going to be working on majority of your code in this region of your screen. Over on the left, you can grab the different command blocks over on the very far left. And then in this bottom right corner, you'll have sprites. And then where my face is kind of covering right now, you will see your program screen. So you'll actually see what you are creating in real time. So let's get started with our snake game. So what we're going to want to do first is, since we just deleted that cat sprite, we're going to want to make our own sprites for our game. And sprites are kind of like the characters or the visuals for the game. So we're going to want to make a snake. How you're going to do this is in the bottom right, there's a blue icon with a cat. You're going to want to scroll over that and click the paint option. So we're going to make our own snake by, in this section, we're going to convert to bitmap. And we're going to click, you can either do a circle, make a circle snake, or a square, but something that is pretty symmetrical because we're going to be cloning it later to make it longer. And you're going to want to hold shift. I didn't do it right. You're going to want to hold, actually let's pick color first. I'm going to do a nice little green. You're going to hold shift when you're dragging out that square or rectangle so that it makes it a square. There you go. Once you've done that, drag your new square or circle into the center target so it's centered. And there we've created our snake. You can add eyes if you would like. I won't add eyes in this lesson just because you can simply do that by painting. I can show you. Actually, let me do it with a different color though so you can see it. This and this will add eyes. But I'm not going to keep it like that just because it can show up a little bit weird when we are cloning. So here we've got our snake, and we're going to name in this bottom right corner of our screen where the sprites are held. We're going to name this sprite snake to keep track of it. So once we have that, we're going to create a food sprite as well. So in my game, we saw that I had the green snake and then a red circle for food. We're just going to do the same option again. We're going to go down to that sparkly cat looking icon, and we're going to scroll over it to paint, and we'll create a new sprite. You can name it now if you want to keep track of it. Name it food. You can name it after, but make sure that you keep track of your sprites. Here, I'm going to use that same convert bitmap. If you don't use the bitmap, you can just draw freehand. You can make your own little fun circle, little fun apple. That's a really bad apple. But you can make whatever you want your food to look like. You can also, let me erase that. You can also go to choose a sprite and look up in this top bar. You can choose food, and a couple different food items will come up once they load. So here, once the food items have loaded, you can choose one, which is like an apple, bananas, any type of food that you want your snake to catch and eat. However, I'm just going to create a simple circle, keep it pretty simple for you guys. So same that we drag the square out for the snake, we're going to drag a circle out. And as well, to make it symmetrical and an actual circle and not an oval like this, we're going to drag it and hold down shift, and it'll make it a proper circle. So here then, we'll drag that back in the center to keep it oriented correctly. And let's say I want a nice deep red for my food. So now we have created our snake and our food. So let's get to the coding for both. So I'm going to go back to snake because we're going to start with the snake's code. If you see, I'm back at the painting editor. We are going to go in these top tabs over by the Scratch logo. We're going to click on code. We'll mainly be working between code and costume. Sounds, if you want to add sounds, you feel free at the very end of this lesson. I won't show that in this tutorial just for time's sake. But for now, we're going to switch back to code. And so for most coding programs, you're going to have some sort of event that allows your sprite to start to work. So we're going to have to command our snake to do something when something is clicked or something is something occurs. So we're going to go on this far left corner of your screen. You're going to see a couple different bubbles. There's motion, looks, sound, events, and so on. We're going to click events, and here you'll see this first event block called when flag clicked. And so this green flag over here starts your program. We're going to do when flag clicked, drag that out, click, hold, and drag. And we want to, in Snake Game, as you saw, our snake moves, but we want our user to be able to tell our snake to move and point in certain directions. So we're going to command, in this section, we're going to command our snake to move when we press certain arrow keys. So here, we are going to create a forever loop over in this control section. We'll drag forever. And we're going to do a couple if-then loops. And if-then statements state that if the up arrow is pressed, we want our snake to point in the up direction. If arrow key right is pressed, we want our snake to point in the right direction, and so on. So we'll drag 4 of these out there inside the forever loop. The reason why it's in a forever loop is so that our snake is always doing what we want it to do. We don't want it to repeat only a couple times. We want it to continuously follow these commands. So we've got 4 of these loops for all 4 of the directions that it can go: up, down, left, right. So now we're going to go on the left-hand side again, over in code. We're going to click motion. And we're going to click, oh, actually before that, sorry, skipping ahead, getting very excited. So instead of motion, we're going to go to sensing, and we'll do if key pressed, and we don't want the space key, but we'll just drag these out for now and do them as we go. Drag 4 of those in those if spots. It's a little bit tricky to get them lined up. You generally want the first part to line up there, and that's how it'll work. We'll do if up arrow pressed, then if down arrow pressed, if right arrow pressed, and if left arrow pressed. Of course, if you want to write instructions for a different set of keys to be pressed to tell it to go up, down, left, right, you can do that as well. Just make sure when you produce your game or show your game to someone else that you tell them, instead of arrow keys, it's going to be this. So now we've got if up arrow key is pressed, then we're going to go back to motion, and we're going to tell our snake to point in a certain direction. So about 8 blocks down, you're going to see point in direction, 90. If we want it to go up, you're going to click in there to change that number. And yours might have a circle that pops up. If not, that's okay, but you can drag it pointing up, and that should be 0 degrees. So if you don't have that unit circle that pops up to show you where you want yours facing, just type in 0 degrees for up. So on, we'll do that for the rest of the 3. The down arrow, we'll drag it down. That should be 180 degrees. Again, the right arrow, it's already facing in the right direction with 90 degrees, so we don't need to fix that. And then with the left arrow, it's going to be the exact opposite of the right arrow, which should be -90. So there, now we have told our snake, if we use some arrow keys, arrow commands, it'll point in a particular direction. But right now we only have told it to point somewhere. We haven't told it to move. So how we're going to do that is we need to, above this forever loop, right here, we're going to drag a control. And, nope, never mind. We are going to drag a variable, sorry. We're going to be creating a variable called speed. So we want to allocate how fast this snake can go and how it should move. So in this second to last code bubble over here, we're going to click make variable. So we'll make variable, and you can name it speed or anything that will remind you that it correlates to the speed of the snake. So speed. So I've had my first variable made, and we are going to drag this set my variable to 0. I'm going to drag that between the when flag clicked and forever. Here we'll do when speed, or set speed to 0, and we're going to change that to, let's say, 4 for now. But before we do that, we've only set the speed, we haven't told the snake to move, so we have to go back to motion. Hold on, yeah, here we go. So motion, we're going to use move, this move 10 steps block in the first, and we're going to put it in that forever block at the very end. You can do it before, it just can't be, it has to be in the forever block, and it has to be outside of any of those if-then blocks. But instead of move 10 steps, we want to tell it to move at the certain speed we created. So we'll go back to variables, and we're going to drag that speed variable with that check mark next to it. We're going to drag that into that 10 spot. So now it says move speed steps. So whatever speed you choose, you can do 4, 10, 100. 100's pretty fast though. I wouldn't do that. Keep it between about 0 and 10 at first, and then you should be able to see that. So once we've set the speed and tell it to move speed steps, we are going to also want to make sure that our snake is showing. And so to do that, we'll position it in the center by going to motion and go to X coordinate, Y coordinate. You can set that anywhere above the forever loop. We'll do 0, 0, so we can see where our little guy is. And I'll press this flag to see if he's working. And I do not see him yet. Give me 1 second. Let's set his looks, set size to a certain %, and we'll make him a lot bigger because he might be really small right now. Let's do 200%. And then we'll press the flag. Okay, so here he is now. He was just hiding. So he's actually way too big, so we're going to make him a bit smaller. We'll just do 50%. So let's do flag. So he's still a little bit big, but I'll show you when I click the arrow keys. I clicked it right, now I clicked it up. And then we click it left and down. And he's moving pretty slow right now, so we're going to increase that speed. And then we're also going to change the size. But he is doing what we told him to do. He is moving and he is pointing in the correct directions. So let's change that speed variable to, we'll say 8. And then let's do set size to 25%. And then we'll see how he looks now. And he's moving pretty fast. I think my screen's a little bit slow right now just due to connection issues. So yours might be moving faster at 8. Whatever speed you feel comfortable with. It should be easy enough to move him around, that it's not too overwhelming. as we'll be adding a speed increase option for when he eats food. So you don't want it to be too fast when you start. So now we have allowed that snake to move, point in the correct direction. So things look good there. What we want to do now is we also want to allow it to, when it eats the food, which we'll be coding the food in a second, when it eats the food, we want it to gain length. And so we'll do that through cloning. So we're going to go to control, and we're going to drag out this when I start as a clone. And we're going to have it say another control, wait. Right now it says wait 1 second. We're going to change that 1 to a new variable that we're going to create. So just hang on there. But then after that, we're going to want it to delete that clone. So right now, if it started as a clone, it would wait 1 second and then delete that clone. And so it would just keep making clones and deleting every minute or every second. But instead, we want to have a certain duration of clone time. So we're going to go back to variables. We're going to click make a variable. This time we'll call it clone duration. We'll click OK. And for both of our variables that we've created, it has said to choose either the option for all sprites or for this sprite only. It doesn't matter since we won't be using too many variables in this, as long as you only have the variables in this specific snake code and not the rest of the code. So here, instead of wait 1 second, we're going to have wait clone duration seconds. But we haven't set anything for the clone duration seconds, so we're going to make another when flag clicked, which we'll do by events. I'll drag this down here, so it's just in its own little section. We'll do another when flag clicked, and here we are going to set that variable, set clone duration to, right now it's at 0. Let's say we want to do 0.25, and you can do whatever you want. I would keep it below 1 though, so it doesn't get too big too fast. It can be anywhere between above 0 but below 1 or 1. So then once we've done that, we are going to, hold on 1 second. Oh, okay. So once we've done that, we'll set that clone duration. But we currently, in our program screen where we see that snake, we also see the speed and the clone duration variables up there. We don't want to see those in our game. So we are going to choose in this variables code section, we're going to do hide variable. And we'll drag 2 of those out. And we've got clone duration hid, but we want to also hide that speed variable. So once we've done that, we are going to also add, we've already said when I start as a clone, but we haven't told it to make a clone of itself yet with that clone duration. So here we're going to drag a new forever loop from the control section. And let me move this over so we can see it a little bit better. And drag my screen over. And in there, we're going to have a create clone of myself. So that's also going to be in that control section. It's going to be kind of by where we chose when I start as a clone. So create clone of myself. So there now we have clone duration, speed, directional pointing, commands for the arrow keys, sizing of our snake, and the ability to create a clone. However, we got to tell it now when it eats the food that it's going to gain speed and gain length. So we are going to now switch over from this snake code. So we're going to click on the food sprite, and here we are going to create another event called when flag clicked, so that when we start our program, this will also work. Also, let me just run this real quick so that speed and clone duration are gone. So there, okay, we'll stop that. So here, when flag clicked, and we want to set the size of our food and to show it. So we'll go to looks first to make sure that our food is showing. We'll do show. And then we are going to do setting the size. So that's also in the look section. So we'll set size to, let me press the program real quick so I can see what it looks like at 100%. So here it's pretty big. We want it smaller than our snake. So I'm gonna maybe do like 20, 25%, the same as our snake from before. And we'll see how that looks now. Just keep my video down here for now. So we'll do flag clicked. Click go. And there he's smaller than our snake. You can make that as small, as big as you want. If you want the food bigger than the snake, by all means do that. It'll just be easier to get it, so you want it to be a little bit difficult for your user to play. So here we also want to tell it in a forever loop, so that it's always, the food is always doing what we want it to do. We want it to, we want the food to be told when it is eaten or when it touches that snake sprite that it's going to disappear and go to a random location. So we're going to go to control, drag a new forever loop out there. Then within that forever loop, we are going to go to sensing. Actually, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. I'm getting excited. Inside that forever loop, we'll also have an if-then statement. And inside that if-then block right there, we're going to go to sensing and do touching mouse pointer, but it won't be mouse pointer. It'll be touching snake. So whatever you named your snake or your sprite one is going to be what you put there. So if touching snake, then we want to tell it in the motion code section to go to a random position. So now once it eats it, it's going to leave its current position and go to a new place. So it almost looks like the snake ate it and now he has to hunt down more food. But we also said that when the snake eats the food, that he's going to gain length or grow and gain speed or gain more energy. So we're going to go to, pardon my thought process for a second. Oh, we're going to go to variables. And as well inside that if touching snake then statement loop, where go to random position is, we're going to drag out two of these change clone duration or change variable by a certain degree. And so we'll have clone duration and speed. So we set our clone duration, or I set my clone duration as 0.25. And so I'm going to have it change by 0.1 every time. And then change speed by, I have it at 8 right now, so it's pretty high. We'll do by 0.2. We'll do 0.15. So he'll grow and he'll get faster, but not too fast that it gets overwhelming when they're playing already. So now that we have that, let us see how our snake and our food interact. So here I'm going to press flag clicked. And here our snake is moving pretty fast. And we're gonna, when he eats it, the food disappears and goes to a new spot. So my screen is a little bit fudgy again. I did say that already due to Wi-Fi. But yeah, so I'll stop there. If you guys saw a couple times I touched or went into the wall and it didn't stop, we're going to want to command our snake that when it touches the wall that it needs to stop and tell us that it's game over. Because if you touch the wall, you lose, okay? So here we are going to want to return back to the snake code by clicking that snake sprite over in the bottom right. And we're going to want to create a new section called, of course, when flag clicked under events. So when flag clicked, we will do another forever loop. It's in the control section, forever. And we'll do if then statement again. A lot of if then statements, they're pretty important in coding. And then we'll do touching mouse pointer again, but we're going to change it to if touching edge. So that's going to be the edge of the program screen. So if touching edge, then we're going to want the snake to stop. So we're going to go to variables and we're going to click set clone duration to 0, but we want to do set speed to 0 so that the snake completely stops when it hits the edges. So now we have made our game so that it should work as the actual game should. So here I'll stop this and start again. So now we see I'm going to go get some food. And he's going to gain length. I might want to increase that clone duration change in the food code just because he's not growing very fast and we want to see some more growth on him. This is a little bit too easy for our user right now, for the game player. So I'll change that. And I'm going to hit the edge now. And so if it hits the edge, he should stop and we can no longer play. But we'll go back to my food code real quick. But after we're done with this food code and changing that clone duration, we are going to, as you guys saw in my program, I had a start screen and a game over screen. We're going to want to implement that into our game so that it doesn't just simply stay at the screen the whole time. We want it to be a little bit more interactive, a little bit more cohesive as we can see when we start the game and when we end the game. So when we begin and when we lose. So let's just check my clone duration real quick. We'll do when flag clicked. Oh, and he's really big and very fast. And I already hit the side. I'm not very great at Snake, but I do know how to code it. So we're going to go now to this create sprite section. We're going to create a new sprite. So we're just going to create paint. We'll make our start game screen. So now once we have that, I feel comfortable with my game screen. As you guys saw on mine though, I also had a play game button here. And when I clicked it, it actually brought me into the game. That won't be on this same screen. That's going to be on a different, that's going to be made with a different sprite. So that when you click it, it'll interact with it. But for now, we are going to just keep this as our start screen. So here then, let's create our play button screen as well. Not gonna go there. We'll do paint a new one. Let's make our play button. We now have our play game button. If you look over on my program screen, these are all my start screen and my button are all in the wrong positions, but we'll change that in the code. So let us go and start to actually code this. So we'll click in the start screen code. And we'll go up from costumes, we'll go to code. Let's do events. When flag clicked, we want to show it. So go to looks and we'll do show. And then from there, we are going to position it in the center of our program screen. So the way that your program screen is set up is kind of like a coordinate system or an X and Y axis. So the Y axis runs this way, and the X axis runs horizontally. And then in that middle, the very middle of your screen is going to be this coordinate called the origin, and that's going to be denoted by X equals 0 and Y equals 0. So we're going to go to motion to set the position of our start screen, and we're going to go to X, Y coordinate. We're going to set these both at 0 and 0. And once we do that, we are going to press this start button just to see where it is. And it looks like it's positioned right. My play game button is kind of in front of everything, but it looks like it's pretty it's positioned correctly. If I wanted to change the size, of course, you can go to looks and do that set size to certain percentage and change if it's zoomed in more, zoomed out more, whichever you prefer. But I feel pretty comfortable with that. So now I am going to go and position that play game button. So let's go to sprite 1, and I actually didn't name this one. Shame. So I'm going to do play game button so I can keep track of it. Or else it'll get very confusing. So here we're going to also do that event when flag clicked. And we'll do show in looks. And then we also want to do the same positioning that we did for the actual start screen background. We're going to want to move this play game kind of over here or over here. Wherever you want to move it, you're going to take and drag it on the actual screen. So I'm going to click that play game button. I'm going to drag it to where I want. So let's say I want it right here in that kind of center area. And then I'm going to look here in this section here over by the sprites. We are going to click this X coordinate, which is mine set to 18, yours is going to be different. And then this Y coordinate, mine's -94. I'm going to copy that over into this positioning for my button so it stays there. So right now it still says go to X 18, Y -94. I'm going to keep it as that. So here now it is positioned where I want it to be, but it's a little big. I want it a bit smaller. So we'll go to looks, set size to, and let's do 70% of what it currently is. So I'll press flag to see. That looks better. So I'll stop that program. But now how do we make sure that when we actually start our game, that the start screen goes away and that we can see our snake game? Because right now all we see is this start screen now. We don't get to see our snake moving and eating the food. How we're going to do that is we are going to start using some different events than when flag clicked. We're going to have to tell it to do a certain command or set of commands when a different message is broadcasted. So we'll go to events. Here we're going to do when I receive message 1. Before we do anything with that, actually let's not be in, we'll keep this here because we'll also need that for play game. Let's go in the start screen. When I receive message 1. But what is that message? What are we going to say? We'll have to do that by doing the play game button. And so that in the play game code, I'll delete that. What we're going to do is when we click this sprite or when we click this button, we want it to tell it to start the game. So when this sprite clicked. So we're going to drag that out. That's the third block there. When this sprite clicked, we want to switch we want to tell it to broadcast this message. So there in that same event section, we're going to have it broadcast message 1. But we're going to change that message and we're going to type a new message and we're going to say start game. So here we'll click OK. And then we can go back to the start screen code and we'll switch that when I receive start game message. But here we are going to also, in the play game code, after we broadcast start game, we want to hide that button. We don't want that button to be on our screen anymore, or that sprite. So we're going to go to looks and we're going to show hide. So we showed it at first when the flag was clicked, but then we're going to hide it. So then the same for the start screen. When we receive that message, we want to hide our game. So here we're going to just try it. We'll do the flag. And then when I click that sprite, play game, it should hide. So there we go. If you want it to wait a second after you click it, so it kind of seems like it's loading, you can do that as well with the, I'll stop this. You can do that with the when I receive start game in the start screen code. You can do control and then wait. You can say wait 1 second before it hides. And the same, you can do that with the button and say wait 1 second after broadcasting the message before it hides. I'll keep it to 0.5 for each. So it's a very short time, but it still is a time to show that it is loading. So from there, before we make our game over screen, we have a little bit of a bug right now. Since we made that start game screen, we now, every time we start, we'll do our flag clicked, press play game. Our snake is on the side now. The reason why is because the snake is still starting when the flag is clicked. So instead we want to tell it to start when it is broadcasted that the message is start game. So we'll stop that and we'll go back to the snake's code. So here, the snake code, ton of code here. Where we have these when flag clicks, we are going to switch that. For this one, we don't need to change it. I mean, you can if you want to, but it can stay when flag click because none of this is telling it to move. Same with this one, since it's not telling it to move yet. We want to change this option though. We're going to drag out all the rest of this code. We can click set speed to 8 and drag all that down. We're going to delete this when flag clicked. Instead, for events, we'll do when I receive start game. So here we'll set, put all that together. So when you receive start game, you're going to do this. If you didn't have a stop time or a wait time before your start screen hid, like I did, then you can just keep it as this. But if you did, you're going to want to also do that control and tell it to wait a few seconds before doing any of this other stuff. So I'll have it wait a full, I had 0.5 for when it would go away. We'll do 0.52. So it's just a little bit longer so that it doesn't overlap too much. So now let's see how that works on here. When flag clicked. And now we'll press our play game button. And now we see our guy was in the center and we can move him. Again, my guy's kind of slow again. But we'll eat some food and he'll get bigger. Okay? Now, as well, I said that we could do a end game screen or a game over screen. So when you hit the edge, when your snake hits the edge, it'll broadcast a message saying game over to the player. So again, we are going to go down to choose a sprite and we're going to paint. And this one, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Press the costumes tab. I'm going to keep it pretty simple like my start screen and just do convert to bitmap. So there we've got our game over screen. So we can go back and do some code for that. Again, the same, it is not positioned correctly, so we want to move it to the center. So we'll just do we'll do when flag clicked for now, but we're going to change that in a second. Do when flag clicked, motion, go to, we'll center it at the origin again, 0, 0, and then as well, we want it to, we'll hide it for now. We'll hide it with that when flag clicked. So it'll always be in that center position when the flag is clicked, but we'll just hide it for the time being. But right now, our game over screen, I'll show you guys the game again. Our game over screen doesn't know when to come out. So here, we'll click play game. But when I die, nothing happens. So we want to tell it when your snake hits the edge that it needs to broadcast a new message that says game over and indicates the game over screen to come up, to come on the screen. So we're going to go back to the snake and are going to go to this section called when flag clicked. Forever, if touching edge, then set speed to 0. We're also going to add in that if touching edge then statement block, we're going to add a broadcast message in the control, or in the event section, sorry. So in the event section, we're going to do broadcast. Instead of start game this time, we want to broadcast game over. So we'll make a new message, game over. And I don't want it to immediately switch the game over once you hit the edge. I want to give it a little bit of time. So do control, and we'll do wait. I'll do wait 0.25 seconds before it broadcasts that. So you want to do that between the set speed to 0 and broadcast game over. So now we got to tell that game over sprite, which I'll also name to game over. Screen. Here we're going to say events. When I receive game over. When I receive game over, we are going to show the screen now since we have it already hidden. We're going to show it, and now that should work so that when we hit the edge, we should be able to see it. So let's see it all together. Oh, I think we've got a little bug in here. So the bug that we have, the reason why when I click this flag, it goes immediately from the start to the end is because here, I don't have my snake starting back in the middle right away. It only starts when I receive start game in this section. So instead, we're going to move this go to 0, 0 spot, and you can just drag out the rest of that. Go like this. Oh, hold on. We'll drag this out further actually first. We're going to put that back together. We want this go to 0, 0 coordinate in this when flag clicked section so that it always goes back to 0, 0 when the new program starts. So here we'll see when flag clicked. Now we've got our game screen there. We have to press play game. And there we've got our snake. Oh, I died already. But there my broadcast game over screen came in. If you wanted a little bit longer, because that was pretty quick that it told me game over, that's okay. You can change that time in the wait section. But I have one more thing we're going to add. As I showed you guys in my game, that we set up a score so that at the very end on this game over screen, you saw what score you got. Makes it a little bit more fun, more competitive. So we're going to go back to that variable section. We are going to set a new variable or show a new variable. But we have to do that in the snake section. So we'll do snake. And we'll do, where we have set clone duration, we're going to also make a new variable called game score. Actually, I'll just do score, yeah. So we'll do score. And we're going to set that score, we'll put it in this area. Set score to... And instead of 0, we don't want a just constant number. We want an operator for that. So we're going to go down to the green operator section. And we're going to do a multiplication option. And so here, you can choose whichever variables you want to use. If you want to use the speed times a certain amount or the clone duration, do that. I'm going to do clone duration times, and you can choose whatever number you want for that. Oh, hold on. You gotta maybe do this before you put it in. There we go. And then my number, let's say I want my clone duration times 500. So that'll be my game score that comes up. So right now we want to hide that variable so it's not showing the whole time. So we'll still hide variable score. Then at the game over sprite, we'll click that again, and in that code, we will make sure to show that variable when we receive that game over message. So show variable score. So now let's see how this all works out. We'll click our flag and press play game. Oop. We'll eat some food. Oh, and I already died. So there, now we can see our scores up here. If you want to drag, you click that sprite and you drag him down to wherever you want. You can also click it once or right click it and it'll say normal readout, large readout, or slider. You're going to want to choose normal readout is what we have right now. It says score and the number. I'm going to do large readout so it just shows the number. So here I only got 125 points because I didn't really eat much food. So there we have now created our own game. I will show you it in full mode. Oh, I gotta stop this. So once I stop that screen, we'll watch. When flag clicked, we'll press play game. And oh, I hope you guys are better at this than me. So when flag clicked, I'm gonna actually change the speed. It's a little bit too fast for me. You guys might be able to do it. And we'll do flag clicked. Play game. So now here, my snake's a little bit slower. Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna keep dying. But all in all, you guys have just created your first Scratch snake game project. Of course, you can add some more complex things. You can do different costumes, different types of sprites, add some more sprites, different things, but this just shows you a general way to set up your game for snake game, as well as do that start and end screen for your game. So I am very happy to have taught you guys. But yeah, I will be producing some more Scratch videos and more tutorial videos, so watch out for those. But have a good rest of your day.